Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Public Safety. This is the June 19th regular meeting of the Board of Public Safety. There is some changes in the agenda that was posted. Under item number 3, under the police department, we have A, hearing date will be set, and B, witnesses released from their subpoenas will be discussed and decided. Under item number 8, we will also, in addition to what was posted, be discussing the towing stats for the towing companies for the city. We're also moving the fire department number 1, promotion to captain and special assignment of David Jester, to the first item on the agenda. Second will be swearing of candidates for the police department. Okay? So we'll open with a letter from Chief Cox dated June 11th to the Board of Public Safety. South Bend Fire Department has a vacancy for captain in fire suppression in accordance with the promotion policy established by the South Bend Fire Department in Local 362. I wish to recommend firefighter first class David Jester, badge 493, the rank of captain in special assignment to fill this position for 1 year on a probationary status. Firefighter Jester was appointed to the fire department on 6/1/01. He has proven his leadership skills and ability in fire suppression. Dave is respected by his fellow firefighters and is recommended by his battalion chief. It is my recommendation firefighter Jester be assigned to the rank of captain in special assignment effective June 19, 2013. And it's signed by Chief Cox. I need a motion from the board to accept the chief's recommendation.
As a member of the Board of Public Safety, I'll make a motion that we accept Chief Cox's letter dated June 11, 2013, recommending first class firefighter David Jester, badge 493, to the rank as captain in special assignment to fill this position for 1 year as a probationary officer.
I second that motion.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Chief?
All right. Just before we do the honors, first of all, congratulations, of course. Every firefighter, every public safety official, police and firefighter, is a kind of leader in the community because people see you come by and they see the uniform before they even see you as a person. Little kids will see you. Now, as a captain, you're a leader of leaders. So there's that much more responsibility on your shoulders. I know your wife Sam is here, which is important because, as we all know, it takes support not only from your teammates, not only personal strength, but also a family behind you. So congratulations, and we have a badge. Here we go, from silver to gold. I have not yet drawn blood at a Ladies and gentlemen, please help me congratulate Captain Jester.
Congratulations, Captain. Congratulations, Captain Jester.
Oh, no, I don't. You mean for the
Get squared away.
Yeah, I'm good. Carry on.
All right. Under the police department, the selection panel of the Board of Public Safety has made a recommendation on the police selection panel is for the following individuals to be accepted for employment for probationary police officers with the South Bend Police Department. effective July 1st, 2013. And this will be for Andrew Fernando Velasquez, Andrew Thomas Jackson, Ricardo Ramirez Perez, Alan Eugene Marigon, and Javier Montrell Bourne. Hope I didn't mess up your names too bad. Need a motion by the board to accept the selection panel's recommendations.
As a member of the Board of Public Safety, I move we accept the following individuals: Anuar Fernando Velázquez, Andrew Thomas Jackson, Ricardo Ramirez Juarez, Kaylon Eugene Nergan, Javier Montrell Bourne.
Second that motion.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. John.
Comments first or after? Gentlemen, feel right. And we'll do it all at once and try to repeat after me. It's a relatively long oath, so try to keep up. I state your name, do solemnly swear.
I, Captain Velasquez, do solemnly swear.
Upon becoming a police officer
Upon becoming a police officer
for the Police Department of the City of South Bend, Indiana,
for the Police Department of South Bend, Indiana,
to at all times protect life and property,
to at all times protect life and property,
to abide by the rules and regulations
to abide by the rules and regulations
adopted by the Board of Public Safety
adopted by the Board of Public Safety
and by the rules of the Police Department,
and by the rules of the Police Department,
which may from time to time be enacted.
which may from time to time be enacted,
The ordinances of the City of South Bend, Indiana,
the ordinances of the City of South Bend, Indiana,
the laws of the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
the laws of the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and the Constitution of the United States of America.
and the Constitution of the United States of America.
I shall speak the truth at all times,
I shall speak the truth at all times,
whether under oath or not,
whether under oath or not,
and shall act promptly,
and shall act promptly,
with energy, firmness, and decision
with energy, firmness, and decision,
in the line of duty.
in the line of duty.
It shall be my duty to devote my time and attention
It shall be my duty to devote my time and attention
to the service of the department,
to the service of the department,
to be civil, orderly, courteous, and quiet
to be civil, orderly, courteous, and quiet,
in conduct and deportment.
in conduct and deportment.
I shall at all times be courteous and respect the rights of others,
I shall at all times be courteous and respect the rights of others,
and at all times I shall do my utmost
and at all times I shall do my utmost
to be a credit to the department,
to be a credit to the department,
to the community
to the community
which I serve, so help me God.
which I serve, so help me God.
Congratulations. Sign your form, 4 signatures, I get 1 copy. The rest go to Linda. There's a table.
Yeah, they just repeat.
Okay, so you just put the or just sign the top.
Sign it the right way. And then
Because the main thing is that's an E.
yeah, okay, so there should be 4 copies there.
Did you put it up or no? Change your mind.
And you can keep 1 or so. And the other 3, I need that 1 goes with you.
Oh, they didn't pass it. We just
Congratulations.
Congratulations, officer.
Thank you.
Right. Congratulations, officer.
All right.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, officer. All right.
Congratulations.
Handshake.
All right, you guys are official now. Be seated, please. No. I just want to say a quick word. First of all, to reiterate what I said as we were promoting Captain Justice, the fact that you're a public figure now. You're a leader. South Bend, the name of our city, not only the police department, but the name of our city is going to be stitched to your shoulder from now on. And that means that everywhere you go, you are South Bend, and you represent South Bend. And you represent just over 100,000 people who trust you with their lives. And that's why the name officer, even more than all the other names of the different civil offices, including mine, that are held by officials in this city, reminds you that you hold an office which represents a great deal. I want to reiterate what I said about friends and family being here, because friends and family lift you up, and that's what makes it possible for you to serve. And when I say lives depend on what you do, I want to make sure that I'm not only conjuring up visions of action and that sort of thing, because really lives depend on how police officers carry themselves every day. That's why you have an unusually wordy oath of office that has just as much about being courteous as it does about being brave. The legitimacy of the police department in the community is our most important tool in being able to command the respect and earn the trust of the citizens, without whom the 250-some sworn officers in the city couldn't possibly do their job. So you've made it through a rigorous process because a lot of faith and trust has been placed on you, having assessed what you're made of, having pulled in folks from a diversity of backgrounds. Some of you went to high school right here in South Bend. Some of you came here more recently. We've got ethnic diversity represented among you. But one thing you all have in common is that level of high expectations that you have met at every step of the way. And I know we'll continue to meet and will continue to make us proud. So congratulations. Welcome aboard. Look forward to working with you. And as an aside, as soon as we're done here, I'll have a little bit of health food up in my office on 14, and your guests would be welcome to stop by and visit a little bit before you go on your way. Well done.
Chief?
Thank you. I've already had a chance to address our new officers as they were going through the application process. So let me briefly have comments for the board and the audience at large. What you have before you is 5 new officers. Came from a group of about 90 applicants who went through a very rigorous and complete process. This is the cream of the crop, and I'm very enthused that they're joining our department. As the mayor said, they have a variety of work experiences, diverse backgrounds, but among them you have 3 bachelor's degrees, an associate's degree, and a final candidate with 93 credits toward a degree, and he's promised to finish his academic pursuits with us on the job. 2 are fluent in Spanish, 1 has had 4 years of German, and the degrees are in a variety of backgrounds as well. They do volunteer work in the community, which we gave high weight to. Everyone always comes on as an applicant saying they want to serve the community. We want to see that they're already committed to doing that, as this group is. 2 of them have already been fully certified in a police academy and have police experience. After all of them go through 2 weeks of orientation, those 2 will be going into our field training officer program immediately. The other 3 will then go to Plainfield for a full recruit academy. They'll be joining us in graduation in November to the field training officer. So, a wealth of experience, a lot of passion, previously shown dedication to the community. I couldn't be happier with this group. And thank you for accepting our recommendation, Mr. Weatherman.
Thank you. We'll take a brief moment if anybody wants to, before the boring stuff of the meeting comes about. It's up to you guys.
They want to take pictures.
like to be excused to go to the mayor's office for refreshments and drinks if you can. If you'd like to stay for the remainder of the Board of Safety, the regular agenda, you're more than welcome to. It's open to the public. I think we need more people. For some reason, it's hotter last time. It seemed like.
How are you?
Hey, Captain, how you doing?
About 2 minutes.
Be back on the record. First item on the agenda, after that, we conclude the other items, would be the review of the minutes of the previous meetings. We have the minutes from the regular meeting of May 15th. And if there's no changes or anything by the board, we'll just accept those as presented. Okay. We also have the special meeting of June 6th. And we'll accept those. That was a hearing date. Okay, under the police department, the next item on the agenda is the set the hearing date for charge 2013-01. This will be Officer Theodore Robert. The hearing date set, and also to release witnesses that were previously subpoenaed in the case. Those witnesses were Officer James Denon, Lieutenant Marcus Wright, Captain Young, and Lieutenant Galea of the South Bend Police Department. Need a motion to set the hearing date, the next hearing date for the case, July 16th. It's Tuesday, right? I think it is. At 8 a.m. And this will be the council chamber. Council
I
chamber.
think it's going to be police department, because police department.
Police department?
Yeah.
Okay. 701 West Sample Street?
Yeah.
Okay. So, need a motion to set the next hearing date for this case, Tuesday, July 16th, 8 a.m., 701 West Sample Street, South Bend Police Department, and to release from subpoena Officer James Denon, Lieutenant Marcus Wright, Captain Young, and Lieutenant Galea of the South Bend Police Department.
As Board of Public Safety, I move that we set the hearing dates for charges 2013-01 for Officer Theodore Roberts. Set hearing dates for July 16th at 8 a.m. at 701 West Sampwood Police Department, South Bend. And also, we have released from subpoena the following officers: James Denon, Lieutenant Marcus Wright, Captain Young, and Lieutenant Galea.
Do I have a second?
Second that motion.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed?
Good morning.
Motion carries. Okay, the next item on the agenda will be the resignation of 2 officers from the South Bend Police Department. The first is Officer Dominic Hall. Be a letter dated June 19th from Chief Teachman. Please find the letter from Patrolman Dominic Hall, PN 2119, informing us of his resignation from the Police Department effective May 14, 2013. Patrolman Hall was sworn on in the department September 1st, 2004. And there's a copy of his resignation letter here. And the second officer is, this will be a letter from June 19th from Chief Teachman. Attached, please find a letter from Patrolman Alexander Gutierrez, PN 2172, informing us of his resignation from the Police Department effective June 6, 2013. Patrolman Gutierrez was sworn on the department August 11, 2008. There's a copy of this letter. Need a motion from the board to accept the 2 letters of resignation.
As a board member of Public Safety, we accept the resignation letter of Patrolman Dominic Hall, PIN number 2119. He He is resigned effective May 14, 2013. And also, letter of resignation from Patrolman Alexander Gutierrez, PIN number 2172, effective June 6, 2013.
Second that motion.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a letter from Chief Teachman dated June 18th. We've got a U.S. Department of Justice Annual Justice Assistance Grant, and it's application number 2013-H4796-IN-DUJ. This is a grant that I think we received just about every year.
Actually, if I'm not able to address the board, please.
On this?
Yes.
Okay, please do.
Lieutenant Christopher Boros, Southern Police Department. I thank the board for allowing me to speak on behalf of the department in reference to this grant application. Each year, the federal government, through the Justice Assistance Grants, provides funding for law enforcement agencies throughout the United States. The amount of funding is dependent on the UCR stats that are presented by the Department's Uniform Crime Reporting. Each month we must present the stats on Part 1 crimes. Based on those stats, funds are allocated for each city, municipality, et cetera. Due to the fact that we represent what is called a disparate jurisdiction, meaning that a city or municipality receives more than 1.5 times the amount that would be allotted to the county, which holds the responsibility for the incarceration of the suspects. We must do a joint application. That's why on the letter which I've submitted, it shows two funding amounts, one for the county and police department and one for the Southwest Police Department. Due to the stats, Southwest Police Department gets a higher percentage of the allotted funding. What we are proposing to use the funding for is to purchase 3 automatic license plate recognition camera systems and a server to be able to house the information and do the backup system. Basically what these camera systems allow us to do is they are mounted on a police car, and we're proposing to mount one on a car for each of the shifts, the 3 different shifts. And as the officer is driving through a parking lot or driving down the street, they can automatically read the license plate, and that is matched against what the database is for stolen vehicles. Or if there is a suspect vehicle in a homicide, we can enter that information into the system, and even at over 90 miles an hour, it can still read that plate, and it will go and alert the officer that this is a stolen vehicle, or this person was wanted in questioning for a homicide or whatever. In South Bend, over the last 2 years, in 2011, there were 324 reported motor vehicle thefts. In 2012, there were, I believe, 289. So having an efficient way of being able to spot these stolen vehicles is essential to being able to recover. Nationally, a car is stolen every 44 seconds, according to the FBI. So you can see there is a definite need, and since technology has improved, this is one of the ways that we will be able to help to serve the citizens of our community in recovering their stolen property. So that's what we're proposing to use the funding for. The St. Joe County Police Department is proposing to use their funding for upgrading technology and equipment. Part of the process for this grant is open to public review and also to the governing bodies of the for the police department, and that's why I'm presenting to the Board of Safety today.
amount, the total amount then is what, 91,000, and then the breakup is the county police gets 18,387, and the South-Bend Department gets 73,544.
Yes, sir.
Need a motion to approve the application for the Justice Assistance Grant.
As a Board of the Public Safety, we approve the application for the U.S. Department of Justice Annual Justice Assistant Grant to use the money to update technology and equipment for the city of South Bend.
Second that motion.
All those in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda will be the monthly stats, and this will be for the month of May 2013. Chief?
Thank you. Pleased to report that throughout 2013, especially in the month of May, Part 1 offenses continuing to decline. We're holding presently at a year-to-date minus 13% overall, specifically the categories of murder, aggravated assault, burglary residential, burglary non-residential, larceny, and arsons are down, some significantly. And the categories we're seeing an increase, robbery stubbornly still holding at a 24% increase. Rape is showing a 53% increase, but if you heard me report in earlier meetings, and that is due to the redefinition of rape by the FBI that became effective in January. So we predict that that would be an increase simply because we're incorporating more behaviors under the new definition. And then finally, motor vehicle theft. Although it's down in the month of May, we still have a 2% increase over 2012 year-to-date. As you just heard Lieutenant Voros explain, part of our strategy on motor vehicle theft is to incorporate the new technology available in the industry. We're hoping that the license plate readers will be able to identify stolen cars sooner and help us to apprehend them as they're being driven by the thieves. If we can make an arrest on those that are stealing the cars, we expect a decline in the total number of motor vehicle thefts. So we're very anxious to get that technology incorporated into our department.
Members have any? We'll just accept the stats as presented by the chief. Okay, the next item on the agenda will be Employee of the Month. And this is a letter dated June 4th from Chief Teachman. Following employee of the South Bend Police Department was selected as the Employee of the Month. This award is to recognize officers, civilian employees on our department who have demonstrated actions noted by supervisors or citizens in both the professional law enforcement position and support of our community policing efforts with our citizens. Employee of the Month for April 2013 is Patrolman Andrew Hines. Chief Teachman.
Thank you. Brief synopsis of what happened. Officer Hines was dispatched to a home where a young boy was found to be in full cardiac arrest. He had no pulse, he was not breathing. And Officer Hines performed CPR and maintained that CPR until fire department medics arrived on the scene. According to members of the ambulance staff from the fire department, particularly Captain Rose, who said that Officer Hines did very effective CPR, and because of his performance, and also the calming of the family and the report he gave to the medics upon their arrival, they were able to stabilize the young boy. He returned to a normal blood pressure, he gained a steady heartbeat, and is alive today in no small part due to the performance of Officer Hines. So we're proud to nominate and accept him as the Officer of the Month for April 2013.
Next item is a letter to the board regarding resolution 38-2011, establishing fees for towing companies contracting with the Southern Police Department. And in addition to that, towing stats from January through the first part of June. Does Ted Boyce have something on this too?
I believe,
Okay.
Diana Scott from our dispatch office in charge of our communications is here to make a presentation.
Good morning. Actually, the stats that I'm going to present to you this morning are the stats from 2011 compared to 2012. I don't have stats for so far this year, but if I may pass out what I have. Oh, you got that? Okay.
Packet that was for this year.
Okay, I don't have those this morning. But I can tell you what I was asked to present. Thank you. And you guys have these already? Okay. So what I was asked to talk this morning about was in May of 2012, Ms. Beachkowski and myself were asked to look into the towing resolution, how effective it was, issues and problems that we had. That led us to sit down with the tow companies. First, we asked that the resolution be certain sections of it be set aside so that we can conduct a tow study. We sat down with the tow companies. We went over everything from refusals to response times, language that was unclear to both parties. As you can see from the statistics, we then set forth clear parameters. We did a study on average response times. We had the dispatchers sit down, and every time they called the tow company, they wrote the time. We had the officers, we had to involve them. They let us know when the tow company got on scene. So we figured out what average response times were. Prior to our study, we were saying 20 minutes. You had 20 minutes to respond. Since that study, we've increased that to 30 minutes. We found that 20 minutes was not fair time to safely get there. We also look at case-by-case incidents. If there's inclement weather, obviously we have to allow more time for that. We looked at refusals. There was some language that was unclear as to whether if they could place themselves out of service. And if they were out of service, was that going to count as a refusal? And they refused service to us. The biggest problem we had was no answers. They weren't answering the phone. Maybe they're employees that were on call. Maybe it was poor cell service. We didn't know. So we made a partnership with them in saying that if we can't answer, then you get a voicemail. We'll leave you a voicemail that says, this is South Bend Police Department, PN 882. We've attempted to call you for a tow. We're going on to the next company. So as you can see from the stats that I've put in front of you, we saw our refusal rate go from 287 refusals in 2011 to 82 refusals in all of 2012. So that's a dramatic decrease. We believe that what we've done, the efforts that we've done have increased the efficiency. They have increased the responses with our tow companies. We've gotten a stronger partnership with them. Not everyone has been happy. We've seen an overall decline in tows. You see the total tows at the top. Those numbers actually reflect the total number of tows, whether they're impounds, owner's request, your car broke down, you got in an accident. Those are all the times that we've called the tow truck. Impounds, the second things that listed there was an 8.7% decline in cars that we impounded. We like to think that was because we've educated our officers a little bit better on impounding vehicles, and so that we don't have so many that maybe were improperly impounded. And then again, our refusals declined 28.6%. So the second pages show you a breakdown of refusals by tow company. We'll note that ASAP towing was allowed on the list in June of last year, so their stats only reflect from June of last year through December. And then pages 3, 4, and 5 break down each tow company, what calls they were given in 2011, what calls they refused, and signal lines, I apologize, that means disregard. And then versus 2012, what they got. And as you can see, all of their refusal rates have dramatically improved. Any questions?
towing, the board as a whole has decided to accept the letter. We want time to look over thoroughly the stats now that Hines provided the prior 2013 stats. And then at a special meeting, we will make a decision on what the board's going to do with regards to this whole issue of the towing. Need a motion from the board to accept the letter and then have a special meeting to address the whole issue.
As a Board of the Public Safety, I move that we accept the letter from Patty's Towing. No formal action will be taken at this time, but we will have a special meeting to address the towing issue at our next board meeting.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Just want to clarify, the board will set a special meeting at some point in the future to specifically just address the towing issues, and not at the next regular meeting.
Okay, next item under the police department will be a letter dated May 30th. This is from Council President Derek Dieter, your Board President Cottrell at last evening's South Bend Common Council meeting. A member of the public spoke under privilege of the floor and submitted in a closed completed form. Council protocol is to refer matters to the appropriate city department, board, and/or council committee for review and action. In light of the fact that the matter involves a member of the South Bend Police Department and that you are administrative agency for that department, we are referring this matter to you. A courtesy copy is being sent to Police Chief Ron Teachman and to Council Member Karen White, who is the chairperson of the Council's Health and Public Safety Committee. This is dated May 30th from Council President Derek Dieter. And the attached that Derek spoke of is this Common Council meeting dated 5/29/13. Citizen is Greg Brown, 1238 Diamond Avenue in South Bend. He's got a phone number listed. Briefly summarize the concern or issue if you wish a formal update. Sometime in April of 2013, an altercation broke out behind the Martin Luther King Center. While officers went outside to break up this altercation, the new chief stayed inside and did nothing. Why would the chief avoid his duty and not back up his officers during this altercation? This needs to be looked into and addressed to see if the chief is doing what is required of him in his position. And that was the complaint. In executive session, the board has discussed this matter, and at the present time, need a motion to table this matter with a special meeting to make a decision on what the board will do with the complaint that's been filed by a citizen through the council.
As Board of Public Safety member, I move that we table the matter with the letter that we received from the Common Council with the complaint from a fellow citizen of South Bend. We will have a special meeting regarding this in the near future.
Second that motion.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And this is from Chris Binion, firefighter paramedic, to Chief Cox. I once again am thankful to you for your support of my educational sabbatical. I feel this will help further my knowledge in firefighting regarding gas leaks and fires. This experience I will be receiving will show me the ins and outs of the gas line, from installation of the pipe to testing of said line and to the flowing of actual gas. I know this will help make me and my fellow firefighters better as firefighters. As per the letter I received from the Board of Public Safety, I am writing you this letter. It is my intent to return to the South Bend Fire Department once my educational sabbatical is over. If you would please forward this to the board prior to their next scheduled meeting on June 19th, I would appreciate it. Signed, Chris Benny. Need a motion to accept the firefighter's letter and to approve his letter and the educational sabbatical.
As a mem-
Unpaid sabbatical.
As a member of the Board of Public Safety, I recommend that we accept Chief Binion's letter Chief Cox's letter dated June 1st, 2013. Chief Binion's letter confirming his intent to return to the South Bend Fire Department once his education sabbatical leave is over. This is again an unpaid leave of absence.
I second that motion.
All those in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a request to remove board-up contractors from the emergency board-up list. This will be a letter from Chief Cox dated June 10th. This letter is to inform you of the failure to respond to emergency board-ups after being notified by South Bend Police Department per contract paragraph 3. Contractors may be removed from the list per letter if on 3 occasions within any 365-day period contractors fail to respond after notice by the South Bend Police Department. Failure to respond includes contractors failing to notify within 15 minutes after the notice that it can or cannot accept the job, or contractor fails to accept at least 25% of the jobs offered in any 3-month period. You are being notified by certified mail of this action. If you wish to appeal removal, you shall file a written appeal within 10 days after the mailing of the certified mail. The appeal shall be delivered to the clerk of the Board of Public Safety. The Board of Public Safety shall hear the matter at its next regularly scheduled meeting that is scheduled to begin at least 48 hours after the service of the appeal. This is from Chief Cox, and this was to Service Master was 1, Town Fire and Water. I guess that's the 2. Service Master, Town Fire and Water. Chief Cox?
Yeah, I just want to point out, this puts a big, this is a big problem for us, because our investigators, after we end up with a fire situation, we have to secure the property. These companies come out and they typically do this. As you can see, the amount of refusals or no answers, specifically from Town Fire and Water, they've refused 50% of their time to come out. And it's requiring the dispatch center then to move on the list, and then that creates an even bigger delay. And then we have our resources at a fire scene and unable to respond to further emergencies, which is a problem for us, especially with this percentage of refusals. So all these companies that are on the list have agreed to this this agreement in order to be on the list in the first place. Clearly, they haven't. Neither of these 2 companies have complied with the requirements that are in the agreement at this point over the last 12 months. So our request would be to for the board to be able to go ahead and notify them of their removal from the list.
Is anybody here from Service Master or Town Fire and Water?
No. They have not been notified yet. That's why we're coming to the board.
This letter didn't go to them?
No.
It'll go
Okay.
after the board approves it,
Oh,
and then
okay,
they'll have the
okay.
opportunity to
Right.
appeal, they'll have the
Okay.
opportunity to appeal the determination.
So we need a motion then to send the letters to them, notifying them, okay.
As a member of the Board of Public Safety, I motion that we accept Chief Cox's letter dated June the 10th, 2013, giving him permission to send a letter to the following mentioned board up company of their removal, with them having a right to an appeal process if they wish.
I second that motion.
All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the last item under the fire department will be the monthly stats. And this will be for the month of May 2013.
We did have a small decline in fire activity in the city in May of 2013 as compared to May of 2012. As you can all see on that front page of our monthly statistical analysis, there's a huge difference in property damage. That's due to the Hurwich Farms fire last year in May that occurred, so that that represents that large amount of property damage and loss in May of 2012 that we did not have in May of 2013. So aside from that, like I said, fires are in the month of May were down a little bit. So.
We'll accept those, if there's no questions, we'll accept those as presented by the chief. Okay, privilege of the floor. Anybody have anything to the board? Yes, sir.
My name is Mario Sims. I live at 237 78 Grove Street. The complaint that you read from Mr. Brown wasn't the only complaint that was submitted to the City Council, so I'm here today also to make you aware of my concerns. My concerns, as listed in my complaint that was also handed to the City Council at the last meeting, is relative to the incident that happened sometime in April at the King Center. In addition to the allegations that the chief failed to back up an officer, and I think it's very relevant to understand that the officer was African American, which causes some concerns in the African American community. There's also been some follow-up reports that the Internal Affairs Lieutenant Ross has, under the guise of conducting an investigation, appeared to have pressured some witnesses. We conducted some research and determined that it's not appropriate for an appointed chief to be investigated by someone who he oversees and supervises. So I'm here today to ask that the Board of Public Safety conduct its own investigation or involve an outside agency to investigate these allegations. I don't know if they're true or not. And I'm not here to cast any doubt on the chief's credibility. It's just that the concerns of the community are such when you have these type of allegations made against a new chief, an African American officer, summer's approaching. We try and diffuse these situations by bringing them to the appropriate authorities so you can conduct an investigation where we don't have the capability of doing that. And if apologies due to the chief, then that determination will be made. If there's some policy changes that need to be made, obviously, that can be done. But I'm here today really in support of the complaint that was filed by Reverend Brown, and also to notify you that there was additional complaints and that we continue to receive communications from the citizens about this matter, because it seems to be a spreading stain. And it didn't just stop in April. For what I'm told, it's inappropriate for IA to investigate the chief because of the fact that he's an appointed official and he's being investigated by an employee, which brings some sensitivity to it. So, I want to thank you for your time, but I just wanted to bring that before you and let you know that hopefully if you decide to investigate and give a transparent response to the community, then we can, kind of allay some of the concerns that have been coming out of the community. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for coming to us. And we are, we're made aware today of what you told us us about Lieutenant Ross, and that's all part of our consideration. And we will be having a special meeting to make a decision on this very soon.
Thank you very much.
I would just add, as the board's attorney, that if there are additional complaints the board is unaware of, that those please be submitted in writing to the clerk, so we have those for documentation purposes.
Okay, if it's okay, I'll get you something tomorrow. I didn't know that my complaint hadn't been sent over, so.
You could please address it to Linda Martin, she's the clerk of the Board of
Okay,
Safety. She will-
thank you.
Thank you
Great.
very much.
We appreciate that very much.
Not a problem.
Yes, sir.
Also at the last city council meeting, there was another complaint filed. I had filed a police report back in May about an apparent fraud case. And I tried to get in contact with the chief to find out what was going on with the case. Finally, I went to the mayor's night out and approached him. And he told me, well, look, I'll give you a call. He gave me a business card. I'll let you know what's going on with this case. I didn't hear from him, so I called, left a couple messages. Finally received a call back from him, and he explained to me that this case had been passed off from the police department basically to the city's legal department, and that he hoped that it would be handled in a civil matter instead of a criminal matter. And with the evidence that I presented to him, it showed at least 5 figures, if not 6 figures worth of money that's been frauded from the city. So I questioned him on why it would be handled as a civil matter instead of a criminal matter. I didn't get a real clear answer on that from him. He told me during this phone conversation he would call me, let me know how this was proceeding. They wanted to talk to the legal department again, and as of this date, still no response back from the chief whatsoever. I think the lack of communication with the public is a big concern here.
Can I get your name for the record, please?
Jesse Davis.
Mr. Davis, I have a couple questions for you. Are you a party to are you involved, are you the victim? Are you in any way personally involved with the case?
I filed it as a third party.
You're a third party, so you're not directly involved in the case at all? Okay, and you had referred it to the police department and they were actively investigating, they were investigating it?
I referred it to the police department. You have copies of everything.
And you were advised that it was currently under investigation?
I was advised that initially, yes.
Okay, all right. You are aware that information that is currently, or cases that are currently under investigation by the police department they're not at liberty to discuss those?
Well, then he should have told me that instead of telling me he would call me.
Chief, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Certainly. Obviously, my recollection of the conversation is a bit different. I did tell him we were confirmed with the legal department and that I had a detective, as he's fully aware, we've spoken to as well, Carl Koch, as this case. And we're coordinating our investigations through our detectives as well as through the legal department. I've had conversations with Attorney Buchkowski, I've had conversations with Attorney Briscoe about this matter, and this case is under investigation.
Mr. Teachman, that conversation was recorded, and they're more than welcome to go to my YouTube page and listen to the conversation where you tell me that the city is handling the investigation, not the police department. And so what you're saying about you telling me that was being investigated by your detective is an outright lie.
Okay, well,
Just give them the
Buchkowski, will you follow up on this
I will certainly follow up on this.
and then give us some more information in our next meeting or special meeting?
I'll give a board status update.
Sir, Ms. Buchkowski's gonna follow up for us and give us a report at our next meeting.
I'll be happy to give her a copy of the
You and I
conversation.
both me, Mr. Davis.
Yes.
My name is Reverend Greg Brown, 1238 Diamond. I made the complaint. I've been on Diamond 49 years. I've attended meetings with Bishop Miller, Teachman about helping in this community. I have a team of prayer walkers called the God Squad. You probably heard about us. I'm a youth minister. I deal with all the kids on all sides of town. Before to have the chief come in and ask the ministry to go out and keep the leg irons off the youth was one good thing. But to turn around and ask us that, and I'm standing on the corner of Linden in college. I take pictures for insurance company. I got all kind of audio and video equipment. I was printing out a picture so it could be put on the Blessed magazine when this altercation occurred. Now, I don't know if he right or wrong or how he did it, but the reason why I asked him that, because I went to him as a man. The Bible say go to you as a man. I tried to speak to him when he was riding on the bus trip and he came back in King Center. He never looked me in my face. I tried to speak to him. He didn't want to hear me. So the only way I can get heard is to go to the council board meeting. Men do men things. But I'm not intimidated. I'm 6'1", 371. Mr. Collins been knowing me all my life. But for Lieutenant Ross to walk in King Center in front of other employees and my peers and say, does Greg Brown have a copy of the recording device in here? Or does Dieter have it? I find it that you're maliciously trying to wound my character. You're visiting South Bend. I live here. I'm going to stand for this community. My father stood for this community. And it's about not a black thing or a white thing. It's about a right thing. Chief, teach me. If you make a mistake, I'm a man. I make mistakes. All I'm saying is I watched you stand at that gate and didn't go assist him. I'll go assist him. Any of you men that know me, God is first. But in this community, it's a lack of communication. I heard the thing that you said about the devices about that. I encourage that they rule for that. Because in my neighborhood on the northwest side, when the young man was hit by the moped, it took 9 squad cars to obtain. The guys did a good job getting around all the construction. They got the moped, but they didn't get the young man until later on. And what that's causing in our community is a lack of communication. We got a 311 line. You can call them about a hole, they'll fix it. If we have a problem in this community and we don't gather together, we're not going to get nowhere. We can have all these meetings. All these guys, I watched them grow in the community. I watched this community as a whole. I had a guy squad out, and when I say it's a family fight, it's our whole fight, because we have people right now that's moving in our community from Chicago. You have all kinds of activity going on. But to turn around and say, well, it's a common nuisance. We don't want this city to take the city into their own hands. Chief, some things you have did, I'm proud of you. But that one incident, I'm not proud of you. And it takes a man to say a man. You can say you was in the restroom, you can say you was there, but I'm just saying, if you're going to lead us right. If I go into the fight, if I see you out there on the west side, the north side, anywhere you at, and I see the community, because I make the t-shirts for the schools, I'm in all the schools, I know all the kids, I'm going to help you. But if you're going to help my community set up these task force, it's going to take more than the people that sit around the table. Get the people to walk the streets, the people that's in the streets. That's what makes a difference. Elder Miller, he going to come this far, I'm going to come that far with him, and we're going to make a difference. But we have a situation in this city right now that our city is out of control with youth. Now, I watched the county council board, then the city council board, they passed a thing to give them 3 feet in riding your bicycle. I'm sitting there, Bishop Miller, by your church. A gentleman comes, he on a moped with 3 people, a girl on the handlebars and another one, and the guy gets flipped off the bike. So then when I called the city officer said, well, I can't take the bike because the juvenile is not going to go to the juvenile center because it's not a high concern. This kid laying over here with 8 staples in his head and laid in critical care. They tried to put him in the detention center, and they said they wouldn't take him. It wasn't a big enough concern. What is a big enough concern? Do we always have to lose a body around this community before we make a decision? If we're going to prevent the things that's happening, we got to prevent them as people. I went to LaSalle, but people think I went to Washington because I work with that school. I work with Adams. I went to LaSalle. I've been in the same residence for 49 years. Shouldn't that speak? Bishop Miller, I remember when you started your church, you used to walk by me and watch me grow up, didn't you? And I used to be one of the biggest hell raisers in South Bend. I'm a kickboxing champ. I'm not afraid to talk to the kids. God sent me back. But if you're going to walk with me, Chief, walk with me in all avenues. And I'm going to walk with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Brown.
My name is Samuel Brown. I'm representing Citizens United for Better Government. And my biggest concern is that a few of us, boys with blue shirts, being targeted, intimidated. I don't care who investigates what. If we come with something, it's gonna be factual. Me and Greg fought one night, physically just about being factual. We're not gonna come to you with something that's not factual. He almost beat that in my head. So all this little intimidation squad we're doing with certain officers, condo fairs, whoever they are, they come just wait to the right time, present the evidence, let the evidence speak for itself. But we're not going to be intimidated. We're not going nowhere. True. Police department, council meetings, the mayor's office, it don't matter. We're representing the city. And I also live here.
My name is Todd Stahl, Best Way Towing. This is a towing issue. I'd like to clarify it with Diane and Andrea. You guys did say something about you guys have moved the time response up to 30 minutes. I wasn't aware of that. Is this set in stone, or is this just something we're talking about right now, or?
No, when we were at the last meeting, we said over 30 minutes. The last meeting that we sat with you guys.
Okay, I'll put that.